I want to start off this episode by talking about the tragic event of the passing of Rondell Moore. Head coach Kevin O'Connell released a statement as well. He said, "I am devastated by the news of Rondell's death. While Rondell had been a member of the Minnesota Vikings for a short time, he was someone we came to know well and care about deeply. He was a humble, soft-spoken, and respectful young man who was proud of his Indiana roots. As a player, he was disciplined, dedicated, and resilient, despite facing adversity multiple times as injuries sidelined him throughout his career. We are all heartbroken by the fact he won't continue to live out his NFL dream, and we won't all have a chance to watch him flourish. My prayers are with Rondell's family, friends, and teammates and coaches as we all deal with this tragic news." Several players have spoken up about mental health programs and the need for more of them in the NFL circles, and speaking out for teams to make sure that they are doing what they can to help these young athletes work through all the pressures that come with being a professional athlete. And fans, this is me speaking to you. I think we need to do a better job of how we talk about athletes. The pressure is already there day to day. Our jobs as fans is to be supportive. And so we can analyze without criticism of people's characters or their abilities. I think we could do a lot better job of doing that. I could do a lot better job of doing that. And I will say this. I want to make sure that when things like this happen, I always want to make sure that I communicate that the suicide hotline has now changed to 988, so similar to 911. You can call or text this number or visit 988lifeline.org for more information or to chat on there with real people if you need help in any way. There's no easy way to transition into the show, but I wanted to just make sure that I share my thoughts and prayers and condolences to Rondell Moore's family, friends. Rondell Moore gone way too soon. Welcome to Sideline Vibes, the Minnesota sports show changing the narrative of Minnesota sports fandom. I'm your host, Derek Long. With me today, we are going to do an Olympic wrap-up with, now, we'll talk about this later, official first sponsor of Sideline Vibes from XXV Media, Ian Fritz. Woo! And then, of course, we'll do a little state of the state at the end. Well, I'm going to do a little solo. I don't want to keep him too long here, but yeah, let's get to it. We're going to do a Olympic wrap-up, I guess you can call it. A closing of the games. Because the games haven't officially closed until we talk about it. Would you say?
Yeah.
And
exactly.
And you are somebody who I would feel like is very locked into Winter Olympics growing up with you as a friend. You were a big Nordic skier. You were a big downhill skier. Maybe some curling. I don't know how much curling you did. Maybe I did more curling than you did. But I know that this is pretty interesting to you versus the normal person. So what were your thoughts in general about the Olympics this year?
I love the Olympics. At my place, it's always on.
Yes.
I just have it on mute. TV's on. It's running. I think the Olympics is incredible. Before I hopped on the show, I had 5 different hockey games on at a little jaunt place I go, and there were 5 different hockey games on tonight. It was the first night of NHL games in about 3 weeks or so, a little more, a little less. I'm not exactly sure the exact time the break, but and wow, the difference when you see the best of the best being able to compete, it's pretty remarkable. And so hockey was a little bit slower and a little bit more mistake ridden. From what I was seeing tonight. Yeah, the Olympics were great this year. I think Milan showed up when it needed to.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of like, is it going to get done in time?
They always
Uh,
talk about that. I feel like every Olympics they're like,
what's up with that?
yeah,
Yeah.
there's always like so much controversy about how it's built and like how is this gonna get done in time? And it always
You
does.
know, the one bummer is they didn't really have any natural snow for the
Mm.
Nordic or biathlon course. Because one of the rules with Olympic, Nordic, and biathlon is I don't think you can go above a mile in altitude.
Oh.
And so they didn't have snow, so it was all man-made. And man-made snow, it's just a different,
Yeah,
it's a different vibe.
isn't it like kind of like a
different
different
temperature.
texture, like more of like a coarse,
Yeah.
what's the word? Like
No,
frosty.
course is exactly what we call it.
Yeah.
So like when a fresh snowflake falls, like everyone knows what a snowflake looks like from like, cutting up the thing in first, second grade, kindergarten, and making a snowflake out of paper. Snowflakes have a lot of sharp edges. And over time, what they become is more like a hexagon or an octagon shape. Instead of like these like spiky things
Sure.
like this, they
Ooh.
become more like rigid, like, you know. Um, and yeah, so it's just a different we call it corn skiing
Yes.
because
Okay,
you're
I
kind of
couldn't remember the word of it. Yeah.
um so and when you think of the Winter Olympics, like you want it to be like, it's like what you want it to be snow on the trees and
Yeah.
all this and that,
Pristine
but
conditions. Yeah.
yeah, but it was still cool. And I mean, like it was like 40 plus degrees too, which was kind of nuts for a lot of races.
Yeah.
So
Shout to global
but
warming.
that's yeah, shout out global warming. I mean, that's the reality. But the Olympics totaled with Norway having the most medals, 41 in total, 18 gold. US coming in second with 33 total medals, 12 gold. And Italy, which was a bit of a shocker, coming
Hometown.
in third with 30 total medals, 10 gold. And the new sport this year was skimo.
Oh.
Um,
I don't think I saw
so
this.
skimo, yeah. So skimo is when basically you're on like downhill skis and you have like what you put on the bottom of the skis called skins, which are kind of this hair. It's like a hair that like it's like hair. Yeah, hair on the bottom
like
of your
like
ski and
walrus skin. Is that what
exact,
vibe
yeah,
we're going
yeah,
for
kind
here?
of like that. So you put that on the base of your ski, and these people run up the mountain,
Oh, I
and then
did
they
see
gotta
this.
stop to take their skis off, and then they run up some stairs, then they put their skis back on, and they ski up the mountain, and then they get to the top of the mountain, rip the skins off, and then they gotta go down the course. And so that was skimo.
Yeah, I
Um,
did see like a TikTok of that, and I was very confused. But like most Olympics, there's always some event that gets added, which is great. I love that they do this, and you're just like, what is this? I'm gonna spend most of my day trying to figure out what's going on here. And I feel like curling was a big one for a lot of people, like that
yeah,
every year, or every time there's Olympics, I should say, where people are just fascinated by that sport. But it was, yeah,
yeah,
and also too with like Italy, like I feel like every time there's an Olympics, the home country always just shows out. I think it's rare if they're
you
not in the
gotta,
top five at least. Like you got to represent for,
yeah.
and you kind of have the home advantage a little bit in some of the conditions there. Any other
Yeah.
like favorite athletes from this Olympic Games uh, that just
Oh,
like inspired you? It could be any country.
yes, Alyssa Liu
Oh, dude,
and
yes, I love her. She's so
Alyssa
awesome.
Liu and Ilya Malkinen.
Hmm.
Those two give me so much hope for the
Yeah,
future of like those Gen Z.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
Gen Z is cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I think those young folks were, I think they were great on camera.
Yeah.
I think Ilya talk about like devastation
Mm-hmm.
right in front of you, and cameras are on you, and the composure he had, and
Quad God.
going over and giving a hug to the Kazakhstan guy that won, then kind of coming out after and just saying, "Hey, I didn't do well,"
Mm-hmm.
and it is what it is, and it's a lot of pressure,
Yeah.
recognizing that Olympic pressure, and so I thought he handled a difficult loss with a bunch of grace, and that was really inspiring. Um, and it just goes to show, like, we're human, and I think that's what makes the Olympics so special. And I think someone like that guy winning gold for Kazakhstan, I mean, that meant everything to him, and
Yeah.
that was cool in and of itself. And
100%.
so I was fired up about that. But getting back to U.S. athletes, Alyssa Liu, so cool. Her performance was so much fun. And the way she ended it, it was fun seeing like that iconic picture of her like
Yeah. She's like,
with knees across the ice, going across the center of it, and
yeah.
then gets up and does the dance and whatever, then does the spin, ends it that way again back in the center. I thought was, as they're all saying, iconic,
Yeah. Oh
because
yeah.
it was.
Oh my gosh.
And then how she came up to the camera after and was like, "That's what I'm fucking talking about."
She's a
That was cool.
legend. Yeah, she's gonna be a legend,
Yeah,
remembered forever, as she
yeah.
should be.
So,
Yeah.
and the biggest thing too is she showed that sport can and should be fun.
100%.
And I think, I mean, like, a lot of times there's so much seriousness at
Mm-hmm.
these high levels, because that there should be and there has to be sort of. And I forgot that you can have fun doing these things instead of being all like business. And she brought back the fun to sports to me, which I felt like has become so serious over the years.
100%.
And so that was so refreshing. So, yeah, I think that was my biggest
Inspirational
thing
moment.
was, yeah, and I think just yeah, I really I like that. So
Yeah. I had a lot of things written down for Alyssa Liu. Like, I think she kind of stole the Olympics for me, and I think hopefully for the world. What, and I don't want to, like, there's at the end of the episode I have for the vibe of the week. I don't want to spoil too much of what I'm going to say there, because it's kind of all tied together for how I'm feeling this week. But to kind of little summarize it, she, like you said, the pressure part of it, where these sports are so pressure filled, and especially for figure skating and a lot of Olympic sports, you kind of get shoved on this path of, like, you're not a kid anymore. You are a robot being trained to be the best in the world in this event. And she hated that. And she decided to step away from it until she had her love come back to her. And that's kind of what you saw in the Olympics. But yeah, she's definitely an inspiration. Is there any, I know you're a big ski guy. Any who kind of showed out in the ski world between, it could be the slalom, downhill, big air, whatever it's called. There's so many ski events. Is there anyone that just like this? This was my favorite.
well, Eileen Gu, I
Mm.
believe that's what she is, representing China, became the most decorated free skier ever, I believe. I need to fact check me on that, but I think that was the thing. And I think she also had great press conferences. I mean, I only saw one thing, and someone had asked her, how are you so good at, elaborating on all your answers? And she just talked about, being thoughtful with her answers, where a lot of sports people are so PR driven. And they say, someone asks you this is how you answer. This is how you avoid questions by, crowding things, which we see in pro sports all the time. And I think she was given more genuine answers, which was pretty impressive. But yeah, so she I think became the most decorated.
She is the most decorated freestyle skier, multiple golds and silvers. Where Michaela is Schifrin.
Yep.
I don't want to butcher her name. She has the
Nope, Michaela Schifrin.
Yeah. She has the most overall wins in like alpine skiing in general. But yeah, no, they. I think I remember seeing something for her. Was she the one that what's his name? He who should not be named, or one of the he's who should not be named. Mr. JD Vance was chirping at.
Yeah.
Was he the one who was like, your taxpayer dollars were used for your education. You should be competing for America. Isn't that what he said? Something like that. Anyways,
something like that. I think she's the second highest paid athlete in the world, though. Or excuse me, she's the second highest paid woman athlete. I believe.
Good for her.
Maybe not in the world, maybe in her respective sport. Mm-hmm. I think I saw some stat from like New York Times or something like that. And then Coco Gauff is number 1, and then in tennis at least, and then number 2 is Eileen Gu. Yeah, I think she was the standout there.
Okay.
As for Nordic skiing, I'm on the women's side. Team Sweden kicks some butt. For the women's, they did an old-fashioned, sweeping. I'd say they didn't full on sweep, but they took home a lot of medals. And then on the men's side of things, I think the U.S. men's got their first ever bronze medal with Gus Schumacher and Ben Ogden.
Okay.
Taking home a bronze, which was extremely exciting for men's Nordic skiing, for U.S. men's Nordic skiing. I don't even think they were up there, like if everything is right and perfect, they were going to be there.
Yeah.
And it was. And so that was really, I mean, that's also one of the more iconic photos to me. If you can pull it up at some point or whatever, it's Schumacher's like coming in and he's like, yeah. And then Ben Ogden, his guy behind him, or maybe it's vice versa, see his back and his arms are like this. And basically they embrace, right after,
crossing that,
they finish in
that?
third. And so that was a great picture. It's so funny. I tear up or get pretty dang close a lot of times during the Olympics, whether it's like
you gotta love
it, whatever, it's just, it means so much, and people are so happy and they work so hard all their life. And when they were kids, they were dreaming about this moment, and here it is happening. And so, yeah, I had a couple of those moments, and I had a lot of those moments. Almost every day there was some medal thing going on. That was me. Like, it was just getting a little choked up. Yeah. So
it is something about I just love, this is kind of a reason why I started this, is like, I love learning about people who are very, like, learning about their passions and I like talking to people who are very passionate about something, and I want this to be kind of like a avenue to talk about that kind of stuff. And the Olympics is like the grand stage of that specific thing, is everyone getting to share their stories, like learning about the different people from different countries too. Like, it makes it fun because you don't get to see these sports. Like, they're happening all the time, constantly throughout the year. Obviously there's off seasons and stuff, but like, you don't really know what's going on unless you're really dialed into and love that sport until the Olympics. And so it's pretty fun. There was a Norway skier that you were talking about. You were hyped about.
Oh, Hannes Kleibo.
Oh yeah, Hannes.
He became the most decorated winter sports athlete of all time, I
Sure.
believe. And he did a good old fashioned sweeping
Yeah.
and won every single men's cross country ski event and took home gold. 6 golds
Even the
in one.
biathlon.
No, he did not. That's a completely different sport.
Yeah, yeah.
However, there was a sprint where he teamed up with Norway's best biathlete, and they won gold there, which is rare because biathletes, they're great skiers. In fact, for the longest time, the highest VO2 max ever recorded was a biathlete, Bjorn Dolly. So that was cool. But typically, a pro cross country skier is maybe a little bit faster than a biathlete because they have more time to focus and train specifically on the Nordic side of things. So yeah, Johannes Kleibo, big man of the Olympics in that sense. He has 14 total, he has 13 total Olympic medals, 11 gold, 1 silver, 1 bronze.
It's kind of like the Michael Phelps of,
so.
almost the Michael Phelps of winter sports, basically.
Yeah, you could say that.
Okay.
You could say that. So
Okay. There we go.
Yeah, pretty remarkable. Yeah, he won every cross country event he entered.
That stuff's
But I
tiring,
think
that stuff's hard. People don't know. You better go out there.
6 different races.
Imagine trying to run a long distance, but you have these giant skis and you. Yeah.
It's a sport that. Yeah, well, it's a sport that engages. It's one of the few sports that engages all of your muscles, basically at once, because you have a crunching motion, abs, back, and then you extend your arms with the poles to push, and then your legs are also pushing off of the snow, and so you have so many things. Actions taking place with muscle across the body. That's why when you see Nordic skiers collapse, Jessie Diggins comes to mind. She's like famous for that because she leaves everything out there, probably better than anyone else. It's all about basically blacking out, entering the pain cave, and how much pain can you take? Pain cave, and getting that to. Yeah, just how much can you take? And Jessie Diggins is one of the most elite at being able to. She's one of probably the toughest athletes there is because of that. So,
good stuff.
Yeah,
we kind of buried the lead here. I know we talked a lot about several individuals who just dominated in these Olympic Games, but I would say one group of incredible people and the women of the United States of America. They absolutely dominated the Olympics.
Dominated.
And I have this tweet here from Yahoo Sports a couple days ago. They finished with more gold medals and total medals than the men for the 6th straight Olympics. That is impressive stuff. 40 medals total. 8 out of the 12 gold medals for the United States were from women or the women's hockey team. So just awesome stuff all around. Alyssa Liu, Michaela Schifrin, Breezy Johnson downhill. And these are the stories, like the tragic story of Lindsey Vonn. That was inspirational in a way that I don't know how to describe it. Like pushing yourself to the absolute limits of what you could do and trying to represent something bigger than yourself in there. Alana Myers, Taylor, bobsledding. Do you get into bobsledding illusion that much?
I watched a fair amount of it. I mean, that skeleton is wild, but
but yeah, just absolute. I love this picture too. It's just this should be a poster that I want to get this for my classroom. I feel like this is a very historic games for a lot of reasons. And to kind of cap off the Olympics, we have the women's hockey team beating longtime, would you say, powerhouse in Canada? and it's not something that was like I would say an upset win in this tournament because the women were absolutely dominant. Um,
No competition.
no, it was like every game was like an absolute uh, what's the word you use there? So weep in all the senses.
Annihilation.
Annihilation. You're a hockey guy too. So, well, how impressive was what the women's team did?
I mean, you know, like I said, it's the amount of United States, other than American football, compared to other countries. Like if you think about how many great American football players there are, just like American football players compared to other countries,
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to comprehend. The amount of credible, talented American hockey players there are, women hockey players compared to the rest of the world, is mind-boggling. And even to our, our neighbors north, Canada, for us to have come in and put up the performance we did and only allow them one goal
Mm-hmm.
in the final is absolutely. I mean, it. I don't know if there is a stronger show of strength in a team sport tournament than what the U.S. women's just did.
Yeah.
This was a pure, people talk about America and
Yeah.
domination or whatever, and like, well, here it is. This is the epitome of America is the women's hockey team.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just talk about the our goalies.
Oh my
Stat.
gosh.
Erin Frankel. She had
Dog.
3 shutouts. She had 98 shots on net, and only 2 went in.
Yeah.
Her goals against average was 39.
That's crazy.
39. And her save percentage was basically 98%.
Yeah, it was like 100. It's basically, one goal scored.
Yeah.
I would count the one.
I mean, that is.
Yeah. I have it up on here. Matt Porter tweeted exactly that. 31 goal differential, 254 to 95 shot differential, and then they had, I believe they had a record, didn't they, with their shutout streak, like time wise.
I'd be surprised.
Yeah, no, yeah, it was. They were like in a shutout for about 331 minutes of gameplay, which is insane. They let in 2 goals the entire Olympics, just absolutely insane.
I mean, that's beyond human. That's like witnessing the greatest to ever do it right there.
It takes a level of focus that is just unbelievable to be able to dominate all aspects of the game for an entire Olympics. You're going against the best in the world. I don't care who you're playing. You're playing the best from that country, and all the teams that make it to the Olympics, they are the top 8 or 10 teams in the entire world over a couple of years there. And so, especially going against Canada in the championship game, gold medal game, where Canada brought it though. You got to admit, after getting beat 5-0 earlier in the round robin part, that took some guts. That took some guts to come out there and with the performance that they had. What were your thoughts on Canada? We want to give them their flowers a little bit too.
Yeah, Canada was phenomenal, of course, as they always are. I mean, sending us into overtime was a thrill. I mean, and if you get overtime in hockey, you're lucky. I think that is one of the most poetic parts of the sport, is being able to go into overtime. And so I can't speak too deep on Canada's performance in total at the games, but
So uh, let's break down like kind of the last part of that overtime. Did you get to like really watch when that goal happened, or were you seeing it maybe afterwards? Were you busy? Because it was kind of in the middle of the
I
day.
was
Worst time of the day
I
for
was
a game like that.
yeah, I was sending emails. I've got client in Canada, and she had said her whole office. We were kind of emailing back and forth, and she was like, "No work is getting done in our office," and I was like, "These my people, yeah,
Yeah.
that's good." So yeah, I there wasn't much work happening.
No.
It was on, and I was watching, and um, you know, I was alone, middle of the
Dude,
day.
you were locked
What
in.
was it, like a Tuesday or
Yeah, it
something,
was
or
a.
a Wednesday? I think it was a Wednesday, maybe a Thursday.
I can't
Yeah,
even remember
Thursday.
the date of
Thursday
it.
is when it was. I remember getting up when Megan Keller scored that goal. I was just like, yeah.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was incredible move, you know, around the defender through the 5 hole.
I don't think we've talked
Done.
enough. I don't think the general public has talked enough about that move in that situation. Like this is the absolute peak moment of a game, and you're in the Olympics in a gold medal game against Canada in overtime, and you pull off that move. Insane.
Clutch.
Shout out to Megan
Yeah.
Keller, an American
That's
hero.
she's gonna be what little kids growing up are gonna be pretending to be on the
Heck
pond.
yeah. It was really fun. It was during school for me. It was the last block, and we got done with our lesson, and I was like, you know what? This game's going in overtime. I feel like we need to watch this, and it's really fun. Like my last block, um, it's like literally 20. I think it's like 20 girls, 5 boys, and I would say most of the girls in there. I think there's like one girl that plays hockey, maybe. Um, but all the other girls were like just dial, like everybody was dialed in. Even the boys were dialed in. They're like just going crazy. They had no really idea what was going on. Trying to explain to them as it's happening, and then the game winning goal happens, and everyone's going crazy. And it's just, I hope that's a core memory for them. As I like to curate those core memories where you look back and be like, oh, I remember when that happened. I was in Mr. Long's class in 5th grade, and we were talking about
I
changes in
Those are some
matter.
of the best memories, when the teachers throw that on.
Oh man, it's good. That's just good stuff. That was perfect timing. I like threw it on, and like 2 minutes later, the goal happened, and it was pandemonium from there. But good thing we were done
Wow.
with the lesson and everything. Not that it would matter at that point. Um, got to shout out Hillary
We
Knight.
got to talk.
Oh,
Thank you. I was just gonna say that.
okay. You go. You talk her up.
Well, she's played in 5
Yeah.
Olympics. In hockey, in that's a pretty remarkable sport, to be able to come back for,
Mm-hmm.
20 years,
That's crazy.
and compete and play. And it's not like they were just like, oh, thanks Hillary for being great all these years. We'll bring you on the team for this one too. She showed up and had what I think the most points in Olympic
Yep.
tournament, most goals.
Yep.
Olympic record. She has an Olympic record for the most goals by any American hockey player, 15. Most Olympic points by any American hockey player, 33. I mean, yeah, she is she's historic. She's iconic.
Yeah.
We had a lot of iconic moments in these games.
True story.
Um, and that she's an icon.
Yeah. You nailed that with just iconic moments. I feel like I feel like always it feels like the Olympics come at like a perfect time. Um, Not to get like way off topic here, but like you see these things happen and these like absolute incredible athletic feats that we get to see, and all this hard work that these athletes put themselves through, and it's fun to be able to cheer on those athletes who are basically like your peers in a way where it's like this is our country, our fellow country people. Like it's fun to cheer them on and to support them when you don't get to always feel that worldwide. Like there's a lot of I'm sure a lot of women's hockey players would say the same thing, is like it's awesome to have, that the entire country is probably tuning into this game, whereas unfortunately in the PWHL, I don't think the entire country is tuning in even to like a finals game, which they should, because it's awesome.
Yeah.
But like it's great that they get to, in all these sports, get to have their moment like this and show all their hard work and have it pay off for them. I would be remiss too to shout out the Frost players. We had so many Frost players participating in this. We had 6 total for the U.S. from either Minnesota or played on the Frost. Just the U.S.
Yeah.
2 from that played for Czech. Excuse me, played for Czech, and one who has now become one of the most decorated, I would say, women athletes at this point. Taylor Heisey, like just going through. I pulled up her resume on ESPNW here on the tweet. 3-time under 18 world champion, 2-time world champion. The Patsy Kazmaier Award in 2022, number 1 overall pick in the league. Yeah. 2-time Walter Cup champion and now Olympic gold medal. Absolute dog. And I think she's a pretty inspirational athlete for girls in general to look up to, as she handles herself very well. She's an awesome person for I would say she could be the face of the league here in the PWHL. I think she is at this point. After this,
I would say so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just great stuff. But I just those 3, the whole team. You can go on and on. We can go an entire episode just talking about all that and shouting out every player and everything that they did to win that gold medal. But it's impressive stuff. You have anything else for our lovely women?
Yeah, like you said, you could dedicate a whole episode to it.
Yeah.
Remarkable.
Yeah.
And as they say, it was iconic. It was iconic.
All right, let's transfer over here to the men's side of things. Again, this is the first time for gold for both the women and the men's. This is a very big achievement for the United States hockey program, you could say, and both beating Canada, who's like kind of like our arch rivals easily in some might say the Soviet Union, but Canada's definitely our big rival.
I think Canada, it's totally shifted. I mean,
yeah,
politically, it was the Soviet Union at that time and whatnot, but over the years it has completely developed, and for us to be able to have a friendly neighbor above us that is so committed to hockey, we're kind of like the younger brother, you could say, when it comes to the sport, or younger sibling per se. I mean, it is so much a part of their identity, just where they sit in the globe. It's colder everywhere in Canada. You can basically skate. Whereas, we have places like Arizona and Texas and whatnot, that you just don't have as much access to hockey. And so this was a pretty historical year for us for United States hockey.
Yeah.
And the men did something that, we've been waiting 46 years for.
I cannot believe it's been that long. For some reason, I just it didn't cross my mind until it was done.
It was nuts. 1980, Lake Placid. Herb Brooks, a bunch of college kids.
Yeah. We were just watching that movie.
One thing in mind. But yeah, it was, I gotta say, so I was in the room when they were originally picking the team for the Four Nations tournament.
Yeah.
which was prep for the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
And so this was in mind from the NHL. We're going to create this thing. The All-Star weekend is not working. We need to do something different. How do we, garner more fan engagement? So they created this thing called the Four Nations Tournament, which worked out perfect because it was a year before the Olympics. And so for at least the four nations that got to be in, they got to kind of get a little bit of a step ahead and start thinking about who is going to be our roster for the Olympics. And we're going to put them together and build a little rapport. So we had Finland, we had Sweden, we had Canada, we had the United States. And that was obviously a very remarkable series tournament that happened. The hockey was some of the most intense we've ever seen. We had some of the most viewership we've ever had for the sport from that Four Nations tournament, and it was a wildly successful event, or I should say events, in total an event. And I think it did better than even what they had imagined. And so I got to say, when they were putting this team together, Bill Guerin and Mike Sullivan and their crew, Pat Kelleher, and staff, and John Hines, but really shout out to Billy G and Mike Sullivan. They wanted to build team, not just grab who are the best American athletes, stats, and all that, and throw them on a team. They wanted to build specific people and put them in certain places to do certain things. And Bill Guerin took a lot of flack for the people he chose. He left a couple particular people off the roster. Jason Robertson, Cole Caulfield. Jason Robertson is one of the top scorers in the league currently, if not the top, something like that. I mean, he's one of the top American scorer regardless. I mean, just an absolute dog. And Cole Caulfield is one of the most talented 3-on-3 players in the league. And both of those guys were left off the roster. Why? Well, because these guys had a vision. And so the big thing was like, why would you pick Vincent Trocheck or JT Miller over these guys? It is just bizarre. Well, JT Miller and Vincent Trocheck were huge parts in the penalty kill for the United States, which we went 100% on our penalty kill. Not one goal. Special teams means so much, especially in games like this, especially in tournaments like these, or tournaments like this, games like these. And they did it right. This was somewhat of a miracle moment, this final game.
Oh.
I mean, Canada, oh my God.
That speaking of penalty, that 5-on-3, like, I just thought of it, came to my mind, like, I was up and just going crazy. The penalty kill was just insane. But yeah, go back to Canada's opportunities. You said, dude, like you were just talking about here.
Oh, I mean, it was just like Canada. they're so good. This had to have been if Sidney Crosby was on the ice. I mean, that is. I don't know what team you could say is better. Sidney Crosby, like what total hockey team other than the United States women's? We'll see. Men's, what?
Yeah, U.S.
total
women's
hockey team in history?
Canada, who's winning?
Yeah. And you've got Sidney Crosby, you have Nathan McKinnon, you have Connor McDavid, you have Macklin Celebrini, you have Cale Makar. Like, this is just the most ridiculous team. You have Bennington in net. Like, how do you beat that?
Yeah. If that's a series, I don't know if we would. That's the beauty of that.
No.
That's the beauty of it. You just need one game.
You just need one game, and I am such a firm believer in the hockey gods, in puck luck, and oh my God, the hockey gods were they gave us something, but you can't say all that without Connor Hellebuck.
Oh my gosh.
That man showed up um, more so than our American goalies right now are absolutely just like stone walls, brick walls. They're nothing but mountains. They were to us in this tournament. But Connor Hellebuck, holy smokes, one of the most entertaining games I've seen
Yeah,
ever
that
from a
was.
goalie standpoint. That paddle save
Holy,
picture.
when he like just swiped it barely.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
Yeah, he
I
was a
don't
dog.
even know. He knew where that puck was. He felt it internally. Like he knew where he could have closed his eyes and played that game and knew where the puck was. So that was pretty spectacular. That was a blast. And we got to also shout out. This team was historic in its own sense and gave a lot of nod to the years past. Every men's Olympic gold medal hockey team has had someone from Warroad on it. Brock Nelson. He had points on the board throughout this tournament. Shout out to Brock. He's the third generation Olympian in his family, the third from his family to go. It's that was a pretty special thing to have as well. And yeah, there's a lot of historical things. Um, I think it was pretty sweet that we had two sets of families on the team.
Yeah,
Um, that was cool. And then we have our golden boy, Jack Hughes.
yeah.
That was, he looks like a kid playing
He
hockey
literally
out
does.
there. Um, and he's so good that it just makes the game look so simple, and it's not.
Yeah.
Um, and same with his brother Quinn. I just could not believe the level of hockey we got to witness. It was so much fun.
Um, I guess a question that just came to my mind too is like, do you think this is like a changing of the guard for who's kind of like the top dog in the world for hockey, or is this kind of one of those like we saw an open door and we just took it for this Olympics and Canada's reloading? Is this like is there a style change? Is there something that the U.S. hockey program has done over the years to get to this point where we this last Olympics? Like, is there anything that you notice just like as a hockey fan in general?
I think the Americans have developed a higher level of skill than what we'd had in years past. I think these kids growing up, like the Quinn Hughes, the Jack Hughes, our talented players on our team, got to witness people like um, uh, Patrick Kane growing up. He was kind of the first skilled player that we got to have and idolize. And I'll tell you this, what I'm seeing from kids nowadays with their stick handling skills, and I'm talking like peewees and squirts, um, the amount of skill that hockey is about to have in 20 years is wild. And like I think that's a smart way to put it. I think the changing the guard, hockey is just going to become more exciting to watch.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I'd say so. However, I'd say I think how we won this was from picking a team that fit
Sure.
each other. That fit the moment.
Hmm.
Put a team together that fit the moment. This wasn't the top like American hockey players in the league. And it's sad that we couldn't put a team of literally the greatest American hockey players that are currently playing in the NHL together. But that you don't build a team by just putting the best people together. You have to put the right people together, and that's what the staff did for the U.S. team.
Yeah, I think it very much was like the men's Olympic basketball team who just won gold. Very similar. Like, yeah, of course, you have LeBron and you have Kevin Durant, you have like all the top stars, but there was a lot of people who were left off of it or just didn't even play in like some of the most important games, like Jason Tatum, for example. Like, for guys that maybe aren't quite at the skill level, but they just provide something that you need. Like I kind of left it not knowing as much. And you kind of hinted at this is like I think U.S. has caught up to Canada in the fact that the skill part of it, but we just picked a better, more well-rounded team in that regard. I also want to say too is like I feel like this team was playing for something bigger than themselves with Johnny Gaudreau.
100%.
And that there's stuff that you can't put on. There's stats that don't back that kind of stuff up where you're just like you're giving that little extra oomph every time you're out there because you know that if he was with them that he would be doing that same thing. And they were doing it for him. And I think that was kind of a huge difference maker in that especially in that gold medal game.
100%. Oh, that's yeah. I'm glad you brought that up. I mean that was such a big part of this team as well too. Is playing for something. You know, I mean they were anchored in knowing that they were playing for something bigger than themselves. And I just think it was a pretty. It was so fun to watch a team come together. You know, and become a brotherhood. You know, it's fun when teams become one, you know, and that's what this team was. And I think people like Johnny Gaudreau, you know, maybe he was the puck luck, you know, he was kind of like, you know, putting something into some of those players in those, you know, very important moments, that we just can't comprehend. You know, he transcended, you know, time or something or whatever, a little divine intervention right there. So yeah, it was poetic. That win was poetic. For the United States men's side of things. You know, they were facing a giant, really. I mean, Canada, like
look across the ice to see McDavid skating at you 9 million miles per hour.
Or like McKinnon, that dude's a train, you know, like,
yeah.
I mean, oh boy, I fear Canada's, they're gonna taste this one, and I fear for the next Olympics. I believe in America in the next 4 years, but it's gonna be even a little bit harder than it was this year. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, that's for sure. I do want to give a shout out quickly to the Wild players that, I mean, Hughes with that overtime winner to get us into that game in the first place. Boldy had an incredible tournament. Faber was awesome throughout it. It was just good to see them step up in the biggest stage, and hopefully that transfers over to the Wild season here. And they bring some of that gold medal energy back. But to kind of summarize the hockey end of it, we have to talk about the cloud that's, if I say cloud, I guess, that's kind of over this entire U.S. hockey program at this point, with how everything transpired after the game. What are your thoughts? Do you want to start with what are your thoughts on this, or should I? Because I have a lot of thoughts. I don't want to keep it too long.
I've got a lot of thoughts, and
I'll let you go first.
And I feel like in sports over the past 10 years, in men's sports and boys sports as well, there has been this level of development, maturity, acceptance of all sorts of people. I think football has grown quickly in their acceptance of people that maybe aren't like, you know, like I feel like football has grown in the sense that, like, there's a big locker room.
Hmm.
There's a good chance you're going to have someone that isn't the same sexuality as you, or maybe the predominant sexuality, for instance. And they have learned that you need to accept them and that they're probably going to be out, and that's how it's going to be. And as a team, we're going to need to get over something basic of like that for us to win. And I think that has been cool to see in the last 10 years, how football has become progressive in that sense. I think basketball is a sport made up of minority Americans who have faced oppression since before this country was even a thing. And so they have always been able to have the ability to see what it's like to be the underdog, per se. And they are a more accepting group of people because of that. Hockey, it's a unique space and locker room. It's just enough people to where there are going to be leaders and they can create a group mentality and a level of groupthink. But there's not too many to where you can break off into your own little groups within a greater group. And what I thought was happening in this world was that hockey was becoming a, maybe more accepting sport, maybe not as outspoken as football. Especially with like heated rivalry coming up, I just seemed like things were trending in the right way. And I think what I learned from that whole experience from the men's side of hockey things is that we haven't exactly grown. And if anything, we've just learned how to turn off the microphone to the outer world of what's happening within a men's hockey locker room. But really, where does that all start? It starts with the captain. Well, we'll say there's kind of layers to this. It's in the locker room, it's the captain. Who selects the captain is the coach. Who selects the team is the GM. I think what I saw there was, I think, and you know, we can't just rip on Austin Matthews or any one individual. I'm speaking in general terms when I talk about these levels to the leadership there. But I think if you install a captain who is accepting of all, then the team follows. And if someone falls out of line, you as the captain or leadership on the team are gonna knock that person into place and say, "Hey, that's not what we do." But if you don't have that, what I experienced even growing up in hockey or whatnot is kind of the toxic, more outspoken person will command the locker room, because to stand up to toxicity, especially if you're a kid versus an adult, when you have the inner strength to do so, to stand up, whereas a kid you're still trying to find your way and when is the time to stand up, whatever. It's a little bit more challenging at times, or you can be forgiven for that, but as an adult, you know what is being said or inferred or from any joke or anything. And I think what I just saw there is a tough time, but I think the totality of it just kind of proved to me that hockey has not become the progressive. It hasn't really kept up with the times or been as accepting of people as we would have hoped they are. So that's kind of my little soapbox on that whole experience. And it's unfortunate that it happened. I think this is a great opportunity. Hopefully, like you had mentioned, like maybe these guys will learn from this. But unfortunately, I think this is gonna be a little bit of a sour taste that that comes with this win. And it's so unfortunate. I felt bliss for about 2 hours.
Yeah.
It was something that I think I needed. I think our country needed to have a moment of unity that was besides politics, that was besides whatever. I mean, we were able to bag 2 gold medals and just be like one as a country, being the best in hockey in the world, regardless of what league or whatever you're playing in. And it lasted all about 2 hours, and then you know, we lost it to some people following in line. There's so many deep things you can talk about with it, and I just think it was just disappointing.
Yeah.
Last thing I want to say is like great power comes great responsibility, and the men's Olympic hockey team had a lot of power. They had a lot of people looking up to them as for leaders. You know, you're inspired. You want to be like people. You want to act like them if they're winners and whatnot. And they had that power, and they kind of, in that moment, from our very, very top leader of our country currently, gave us a pitiful example of what it means to be responsible or inspiring, or just a decent human. So I think yeah, that's kind of my thing.
Yeah. I agree 1,000,000% with everything, and I'm glad you said it beautifully, perfectly, in the fact that it is a combination of a lot of decisions that are made with selecting people who are going to be leaders of things. And like you said, this is unfortunate that this happened. I agree with that, and I also say I'm kind of this is bad to say maybe, but stuff like this needs to happen where people see this happen, and there's video evidence of it, there's audio evidence of it, and the players can see how this is hurtful. And like I don't know, I'm gonna be a dad soon, and I'm gonna have kids that are I have a boy and a girl on the way, and obviously if it was my son or my daughter in both of those situations, um, that's just not what you would want uh, your kid to do. And I give people like Hillary Knight a ton of credit for talking about how in it sounds they still have their colleagues' backs, if you call them that, colleagues, like how she said that she felt that they were put in a bad spot. And I don't want to like her words are her words. I'm not trying to discredit her in that regard, but um I think they were put in a bad spot, but they also handled it horribly. And if they didn't know that they handled it horribly, um I hope now they learned, and now they know that those words are, or not, lack of words and lack of stepping up and having a backbone and saying something's wrong is important. I think it definitely overshadowed what an achievement this was for both those teams, and I specifically feel very bad for the women's team who um, they had a dominant, incredibly dominant run, and it's just going to be. I hope it's not forgotten because of this whole situation. Um, and I think that's kind of what we want. We talked about like how we're going to talk about this in the show. It's like I want to talk about. We both wanted to talk about starting with the women, like how awesome it was and how dominant it was, and then we have to talk about this and discuss this because this stuff needs to change. It needs to change. And it's a
We need to
simple.
be having these. Yeah, we need to be having these
Yeah.
conversations
Yeah.
as adults and Americans.
Yeah. I have no faith.
Especially-
I have no faith, and I don't think a lot of people do, that Trump is ever going to say or do the right things. That's just my own. That's my personal opinion. I don't think I'm the
I
only. I don't think I'm the only one in that regard. What I do have
I think
faith,
I
yeah.
agree.
What I do have faith in is that there's people who are on this roster. Hopefully a majority of them learn from this experience and understand how hurtful it was, and actually learn and do right by it. Because if you were put in that position again, I don't have any faith that he's going to say or do the right things. And so, but there might be some people who don't understand, or they are uncomfortable with that, and that's something that still needs to be called out, as it should, as it has, um, and done better by it. I
Yeah.
don't know.
It's okay to be disappointed in people. You can be
100%.
disappointed in your friends, in your family, whatever. But it's important for them to be aware that you're disappointed in them. And maybe they can disagree if they want, whatever, so be it. But I think if you care about people and you recognize that they're disappointed in you, that maybe you realize like you messed up. It's how you learn. It's how we as
Mm-hmm.
kids learn. It's I think um, and adults too, of course. So um, yeah, it it's such a bummer.
Yeah.
Is what it is, for something that was so great.
This
You
whole thing is kind of like the antithesis of Sideline Vibes. This is not Sideline Vibes. This is we're not changing. That's not changing the narrative. Changing the narrative is doing what they did, or not changing the narrative is not doing what they did. If that makes sense. Laughing about a joke that is extremely sexist and ill in a lot of ways. Like, that's not what we do in 2026. We gotta evolve a little bit better past that. It's time to grow up a little bit, and
100%.
and be men, and be like, again, if you had a daughter on that team, um this is how you would respect. Like, it's just about respecting other people, and that they weren't
You
respectful
know,
of other people. It's just
and,
sad. They're
and why?
your friends. You talked about how they're friends, and that's what you're gonna do to your friends, is laugh behind their back. um that's just, I don't know. It obviously ruined a lot of things. What were you gonna say, Ian? Sorry.
No, I think that's right. I mean, the whole thing is we're trying to. If you play the sport, if you love the sport, you want it to grow, you want it to
Mm-hmm.
become better. And I think knocking down, you know, anyone that is, men or women sports like that, it doesn't promote the game that you say you love. And you know we all do better when we all do better, like Paul Wellstone
Mm-hmm.
says, a rising tide raises all ships. Like, this is just that call that we received, the US hockey team received, was not leadership. It wasn't funny. um, and we can and should be doing better. And I hope, like you said, that this is a good learning experience. Will these people learn from it? Let's hope. But I'm not going to count on it. I think it comes down to people that have kids in youth sports right now. We are going to be the change makers,
Mm-hmm.
as the people like us who are coaching it, that are promoting it, that are have kids in it. Um, you know, your moments around athletes matter. The way you carry yourself, what you talk about in a room matters. And it's really important that kids are very malleable. What you
Mm-hmm.
say, they listen to, and they will regurgitate out in the rest of the world. I've seen it, from coaches that I've been around, and whether it's for good or bad, they're gonna say what you say. And so, it's people like us that are involved in youth sports are out there doing the right thing, to be good examples of what it means to be a good human.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
So it's on us. at this point. And shows like this, like Sideline Vibes, use a coach Derek, gives me a lot of hope.
Oh,
Um, so
hope so.
we can go out and win more gold medals and get 2 firsts, and celebrate as one, as it should be,
100%.
and celebrate each other. Um, so
Yeah. I hope that they get that moment to really truly celebrate with each other, and um, yeah, I think that is fitting for that. But yeah, I don't want to keep it too long. I very much appreciate you coming on and talking Olympics with a wealth of knowledge. Um, and yeah, I appreciate you, friend. Any last words you got?
No, I think this year though, I mean, just again coming back to the sports of the Olympics and everything, this was a really good year, in general for the Olympics themselves. I think people the country that won, the individuals that won, the teams that won, all had just super meaningful stories. I think the press did a good job highlighting those, and making that stuff aware. But ultimately, shout out to those athletes for doing something extraordinary, because that's what the Olympics is all about.
Heck yeah, man.
So this was great. I already cannot wait for 4 years.
Yeah.
Can't come soon enough.
Gosh. Yeah. What a time. What a time. I get sad
Cool.
whenever the Olympics
Well,
is
thanks
over.
for having me on, Derek.
Yeah.
Always a
Yes.
pleasure.
Dude, yes. Have a good time. Have a good night. I'll give you a quick little plug here. Go check out Sasquatch Media, Sasquatch.media. Go check it out for everything you need in film production. You have the links to the shows that you've created. Um, go check it out. Go check it out. It'll definitely be worth your time. All right, we're gonna do a little state of the state here. It is February 25th, 2026. This is from the week of 15th to the 24th. Wolves crunch time report here. Wolves are now 35-23, sixth in the West. Could jump up before the week's over. This last stretch of games here, coming back from the All-Star break, we had a win versus the Mavs. That's an Ant 40 ball. Probably one of my favorite highlights of the entire season here comes from this Naz Reid dunk, and an absolute incredible call here.
And here's Reid around the world. It's Naz, it's wild, and we're just living in it.
An insane call. Everything about this, just to have Naz Reid in our life, Mark with an incredible call here. To have Naz Reid in our life, we're just so special. This is just insane. A guy that's like 6'10", little wrap dribble behind the back, right over Gafford, being able to dunk in traffic on the break, dribble drive, insane. So that was one of my favorite highlights of the year that came from that game. However, Gobert gets suspended. Naz hurt after this game, and so we go on to play the 76ers. I was boots on the ground for this game. I think they talked about this on the broadcast a little bit, but the vibes were a little just weird. It was just a weird Sunday night crowd. Naz and Rudy were out, like I said. It was just a combo of you're playing a good team. Vibes aren't really there. It's a Sunday night game. Combo of the bad shooting versus the 76ers getting off to a hot start and us just kind of losing our focus there and losing our edge as the game went on. Maxey was a dude. Man, he was a killer in that game. But then vibes shift around really quickly. We have a division matchup here with Portland. Jaden, kind of a homecoming, as close as you can get to Seattle, and then Washington. Career night for him all around. I think at one point he had 5 blocks in the first half, which is insane for a non-center to have. Ant was Ant. Nuclear in the first 3 quarters. They were sending everybody at him in the fourth. He took a couple tough shots, I thought, but at the end of the day, he made all the right decisions. And then the guy who won us the game, and we missed so much in that 76ers game, was Rudy. And he was an absolute dude in that fourth quarter. And I think if we don't have Rudy Gobert in this game, we might not win it. And his value is incredible in games like this that we really need. He was throughout the whole game. He was just battling with Clayton, who was having a great year, and very, very much proved. The last 2 games have very much proved how valuable Rudy Gobert is to this team. Now, can we build off of this and make it so that we don't have to rely so much on just a handful of guys on our team? And I feel like we're starting to see a little bit of that with Jaden, Nas. We're going to start seeing Io and Bones provide a little bit more for us, but and don't want to forget about Dante, dude's dog. Vibes in general, I think we just needed to get our butts kicked by a really good team, and that 76ers game was just good for us. I think it was a good humbling experience where we're like, man, if we want to be a team like that, we need to really step it up here, and we saw that in this Portland game, so hopefully we can see it throughout the rest of this regular season. Some cool stuff here. It was fun to see that Kids Day at practice, and Joe and Ant kind of giving the kids a hard time and getting after them. And it's fun that the Wolves provide those kind of opportunities for kids to come in, and kids that might be in need for whatever reason, be able to experience something like that. And we have just an awesome, nice group of guys who are willing to do stuff like that. And it just makes it more fun to cheer for your team, your hometown team, when you have guys like that are full of great character. I did get to go, me and my wife and in-laws go to the Wolves member party. If you have not been to one of these before, it's a very interesting experience. Going in, I was super excited. I'm like, man, we get to meet some of the players. I wonder, like, I was like thinking the whole time, like, what am I going to say to them? Like, I just want to be memorable. Say something, not be too controversial, but I just really enjoy these guys, and this has been my team for so long, and yeah, it was fun to be able to meet a couple of them. We first got in the line. Bailey scouted it out perfectly. She's been to a couple of these, and she knew the head photographer. I don't know his name, but she knew him, and she's like, we got to stand in this line because he always takes the pictures with Ant. And so it's probably going to be Ant and another group of guys, because they have like different stations where you have to kind of guess what line to go into to like get in the line to do a little meet and greet photo op. But Ant unfortunately wasn't able to make it there, but it was the right line. But we did get to meet Joe and Mike Conley, which was perfect because I love those two. It was great. It was actually fun because we got to talk a little bit more than I thought. My wife's very pregnant right now, Bailey. And right away Joe was like, oh boy, like, because she's like, it's twins, because knowing that he has twins. And we left, as we were leaving, I just threw out any baby name ideas. And it was pretty fun. I don't want to give them away too much because who knows, but they had good recommendations for that. So that was kind of fun. Then we got in line with the French duo with Rudy and Jon. Very embarrassing moment for me as I finally get to meet Rudy and Jon, which are lovely people, and I was really excited because I love Rudy. I think he's a good guy. Jon seems like just an awesome kid who's just awesome. Anyways, in the entire line I practice saying "You are the goats" in French. And I'm not even going to try to say it because it's just so embarrassing to even think about trying to say it again. But I practiced the whole way in line. Bailey was quizzing me. We get to the front, and I'm like ready to deliver it, just come up and say it. And I completely fumble it. And I think I just said, "You are goats." And the look that Rudy gave me scared me. in a way that would not like he was going to punch me or something like that, but just like it scared me in the fact that like I just said something very offensive to him, and hopefully I didn't say anything or pronounce it in a way that sounded like a different word. I was pretty nervous. It was very quick. Things happen really quick in these. You just kind of like take a picture, say hi, as you're walking away. And he looked at me, and I say to Young, because I'm standing next to him, I was like, I was supposed to say, "You are the goats," and he goes, "Oh," and he goes, "Not too bad," and that's all I needed. But it was very embarrassing, and it's gonna be a core memory for me in a very bad way. I regret every minute of it, but overall, great vibes there. The players seemed like they had a good time, but it's a weird event. I think if I was a player, I think this would be my least favorite day of the year for the fact that you kind of sit there and like zoo animals. It's really weird because you don't get to actually like mingle. Really, you get to like kind of just say hi and like be like, and you're kind of like everyone's just taking pictures of you. It's a weird vibe. It's a weird vibe. I'd be curious to see. I know Bone said something about how he enjoyed the event, and it was fun to see the fans and kind of feel the love in that way. But it's still, I think I would feel pretty weird if I was a player. So I would understand if guys didn't want to do that. Try to come up with any reason not to make it to it. But overall, phenomenal time. Highly recommend it if you can ever go to it. So next game for the Wolves, Thursday at the Clippers. That's on Prime. If you have Amazon Prime, 9 o'clock. Wonderful broadcast. Tune into that. Maybe Grady's on the call. And then Sunday, big one at the Nuggets, 2:30 ABC, a local channel. You got to watch this game. It's a big one. It's a big one. We need this win really bad on Sunday. Puckheads, I'm going to kind of skip over. I just want to point out that the Frost are playing this Sunday, March 1st, as they come back from their break against Montreal. We'll catch up with them next week, as well as the Wild, who are playing tomorrow night, Thursday, against Colorado on the 26th. That's a big one. Very big one. Two very big games there. Wonderball. We have a little half Wonderball. Just a quick one because we drew against Austin FC 2-2. It was fun to see this new. I was very excited to see this new Loons squad. What was it going to look like? Is this going to be a very similar approach to last year, with a very heavy defensive back approach? But it was more balanced. They took more opportunities to attack. That possession game seemed more valuable to them. But we saw an early goal get through where defense didn't look as great in that spot. But then Dugan got his first career goal. Standout Minnesota United lower level player. Finally getting his opportunity, comes in with a header, set piece goal. Gotta love it. Set piece. United are back. Never left. We'll find out. And then Yeboah almost gets an absolute incredible goal. A Chester. I don't even know how to call it. A chest bop. Boom. Great play by the goaltender. And that would have been a fun one if he would have got that one in. But a late goal at the end gets us a tie. And I think you take that on the road. Especially in week one, in the first game of the year, as you're getting the rust off you a little bit. But I guess my big question is, when is James going to play? James Rodriguez, is he going to play in this next game here Saturday against FC Cincinnati? It's 3 o'clock on Apple TV. It's at home. It seems like it could be the perfect opportunity, but maybe he just needs to get up to speed a little bit. I don't know. I guess we'll find out on Saturday and see there. Offseason vibes very quickly. Got some injury luck so far. There's been, again, the media is just going after the Twins. I think I saw Rosenthal came out and said, like, you're saying you're going to be competitive, but you're not spending money. What are you going to do about the Pablo situation? Joe Ryan looks like he might have some injury stuff going on here. What are we going to do about this? And I this is my stance on Sideline Vibes. We just got to let it play out. Let's let it play out. We'll let it play out. Again, spring training. I'm not going to break down the spring training games for you. Let's play some regular season baseball. Let's play a month of that before we have right off this team. Can we just let them play a month of regular season baseball before we bury them over and over again? I don't know. Give the guys a chance. The players deserve that at least. At least the players deserve that. Buxton deserves that. We can't be taking this out on the players. Come on. We got to be better. We got to cheer for this. Cheer for the players if you're going to cheer for anybody. Some cool stuff. Got some cool hats in spring training. I kind of want one of those flower ones with the flower hat. Come on. I just feel like the players have a good vibe coming into this. I feel like it just feels a little bit less tense coming into this season. So maybe because it's just maybe lower. The expectations seem high, as in like they want to be competitive. The standard is going to be the standard. I feel like there's just less pressure. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Lynx CBA update. Where we kind of are right now here is that the WNBA told the Players Association that on Monday that the new collective bargaining agreement must be agreed on by March 10th. Ooh, ultimatum. But I'm sure that's going to work out well. For the schedule to not be impacted. I still think that the players are going to hold out until they get exactly the percentage of the percentage that they deserve. And I think there's been a lot of stuff that came out. I'm not really sure how any of that stuff works, like the numbers wise. I'm not going to pretend to understand. I've read a bunch of it. I still don't really understand. I just want to know if the players are getting paid similar percentages compared to the percentages for revenue sharing, or that the NBA, all those major leagues get, because that's what they deserve. It's not going to equate to the same amount of money. It's not like they're saying that we want to be paid. I mean, some players believe that, and that's all the power to them. You bet on yourself. I'm always going to support the players in this situation, but having an ultimatum, I don't know if that's a good strategy for this, but again, I don't know. I'm not an expert. Unrivaled is getting into that playoff mode here. Unfortunately, the Hive and the Lunar Owls are eliminated. That is Nefisa's team, the Lunar Owls. Tough season with Fee not being able to play, but I'm pretty excited about this. This is going to start on February 28th. Coming up here soon, as we still have a couple of games yet to play before we get to February 28th on this Saturday. Check it out. Check out some Unrivaled while you're waiting for hopefully the Lynx to come back on without it being delayed too much. But I'm okay with it being delayed. If it gets delayed, can we just have some more Unrivaled? Can we have a little break and we do we're going to do a 5-on-5 Unrivaled in replace of the WNBA? This is setting up for potentially a very interesting situation, because it's not like when the NBA or MLB had lockouts, there was just an alternative league. This is just a unique situation, and it was great that Unrivaled's been awesome. If you haven't tuned in, go check it out. If you need your competitive basketball fix, tune in. If you're missing watching some of these Lynx players, go check it out. Minnesota Vikings. I don't really have anything. Just getting ready for the draft. We talked last week a bunch about them, but right now we're just measuring some arm lengths. Combine stuff's going on. Nothing crazy. We'll talk more about it next week. let's get to vibe of the week. Now, I don't want to go too much on a rant because I don't want this episode to be so long, but we kind of touched on this in when we were talking when Ian and I were talking about the Olympics, and Alyssa Liu. There's a story that came out about her leaving figure skating at 16, not having a life. Talks about how she's just like feels like she never got to be a kid and grow up, and how much pressure comes with it. And I feel like the vibe I get, even just in my life right now, is drained. This is a busy time of the year as a coach. We're getting close to the playoffs here. As a teacher, there's just a lot going on as we're getting further in the year. At home, obviously, getting prepared for 2 bundles of joy to be joining us in our family. I as a 30-year-old man feel pressure, and I can't imagine being 16 or under and being put under the pressures that an Olympic athlete is put under. Anyways, I say all this as there's been several stories about how Norway does their youth sports. I think there's no competitive sports until 13 or 14. They want kids to try everything that they possibly can. They want this to be fun. They want you to enjoy it. And then when you, if you do enjoy it, you want to pursue more or professional or more serious route, you have a lot of avenues for that. And that's why you see them be pretty dominant in this Winter Olympics. They excel at those sports that they excel at, because it's not because they put way more hours than the United States in. It's that they don't wear out their youth. And we have it backwards here in the United States. I'm a huge proponent of, I think that we're doing too much stuff. We have too many tournaments too early. Second grade basketball tournaments, third grade basketball tournaments. A lot of those kids are just developing their skills. They might not even have had 1,000 dribbles or 1,000 shots made at this point, and we're going to tournaments. Very competitive, stressful tournaments for these kids. That's a long time of doing that every school year until you get to, I would say, the more serious part, which would be high school basketball. You've probably put in so many miles on yourself at that point where you might not even love basketball anymore. And I see this in the front lines of being a coach. I've had so many kids decide to quit either after freshman year or going into freshman year or going into like their sophomore year because they want to focus on maybe one sport, which is fine. To do that, if you're not passionate about something, like it definitely wants you to be passionate to do things that you're passionate about. But gone are the days where kids just wanted to be in the sport with their friends and compete. And it's not their fault. We put all this pressure on them from third grade on, and put them in all these tournaments, pressure-filled situations where the game doesn't become fun for them. So it's even hanging out with your friends. It's not fun at that point because you've already been competitioned out at that point. And that's what Alyssa Liu was talking about in her story about the pressures of this make it so that you cannot be a kid and grow up like normal. So you feel like you're lost all that time. And it's just, I feel like it's just proven that if you have true joy, unaffected joy for what you do, you're going to do way better at it than if you are just doing it to do it, if that makes sense. And so I just feel like we need to, as a society, just really take a step back and look at how we're doing things at our youth level, and find ways of how we can make the game of basketball more joyful until it gets to the point where they are developed and they can take it more seriously if they want to be to take it further in their careers. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not an expert in any of this stuff, but I'm pretty qualified knowing and seeing it over the last 8-9 years of coaching, where you're seeing that burnout. Kids, we talked about this at my youth group that I work with, where the kids get to the point where they want no sports in the summer at this point. You're being pulled, and if you're a 2-sport athlete and 3-sport athlete, good luck. You're gonna have to just tell one team, like, yeah, I'm not gonna be able to make it to a bunch of stuff, which should be fine. But I think we're just adding too many things on our kids' plates, and there's no chances for them to just kind of be kids, and do things for the joy of it, not for making it like it's work, if that makes sense. Yeah, that's my little soapbox there for you. Again, I want to thank official first sponsor of Sideline Vibes, SSQTCH Media, and Ian Fritz. It sounds crazy to even say that we have a sponsor. Ian's been a longtime friend, and he said that he would like to sponsor. And I was like, wow, awesome. Ian does an incredible work, and the whole SSQTCH crew, shout out to Murph. They do amazing things. If you don't know about SSQTCH Media, they are the premier video production company in the Midwest, including anything from commercials to sports documentaries, or just documentaries in general, or anything you need for video production in general. They should be your go-to place for that. SSQTCH Media, if you haven't checked them out, they have countless incredible projects they worked on. One of them being Dream State. If you haven't checked out the episode, I'll link it down below, where we talk with Ian about what they did for Dream State. Incredible work that they do over there. So if you are in need, or know of somebody who is in need of video production, SSQTCH.media is the place to go for that. Just go over there and check it out. That's all I ask for you to do. Okay, go check them out. They got great stuff over there, man. Yeah. But anyways, I'm gonna leave it at that. This is gonna be a long video. If you got to this point, thank you so much for watching, and remember, don't let your team control your vibes. Let's keep them high. Thanks. I'll see you next time. Peace.